Okay, let's get started.
Ghosts are real. That much I know.
Hey horror freaks, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda. If this is the first time here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can get a notification every single time that I post a video, and I post every single week. So you can see from the title, today's video is going to be my full review with spoilers of Evil Dead from 1981. Now, I did Evil Dead from 2013 last week because it was the 10th anniversary, so leaving it right here in case that you're also interested in watching that. But the reason why I am reviewing Evil Dead precisely is because next week Evil Dead Rise will be arriving to theaters on Friday, April 21. I have said this way too many times already. I am so excited. It was actually my first video of the year, was my reaction to the trailer. Leaving it right here also if you're interested. I am very excited, so that's why I really wanted to talk about the original. And at the end of the day, Evil Dead is such an important movie on the horror genre and in cinema in general. So, of course, it deserves to be talked about. And also, it deserves to be watched. Now, as always, on my reviews, always spoilers. If you don't want them, I am so sorry. I do not do spoiler-free review versions of the reviews I do on Wednesdays that are movies that are already out. So, I apologize in advance. But saying all of that, let's get into the video. The Evil Dead, directed by Sam Raimi, yeah, the same guy that did the original Spider-Man, follows 5 friends that travel to a cabin in the woods where they unknowingly release flesh-possessing demons. Now, to give a brief summary of the story, this film is just a 1 hour and 25 minutes. It's very short. It's also a low-budget film. That's one of the things that make this film so good. I'll be talking about that when I end the summary. But to give the summary, is 5 friends, they go to a remote cabin in Tennessee. They are 5 friends from college, and while they are there, the first thing that they notice is that the water from the bridge that they have to pass is rising and is becoming very weird and also very dangerous. The second thing is one of the girls, she is drawing a clock that is on the cabin. The clock suddenly stops and she hears a voice that is saying, "Join us," and her hand kind of becomes possessed and she's drawing a book. This book is eventually found by the rest of the group inside the cabin. Now, this book is basically the Book of the Dead, and when you read it, you're going to wake up a demon, and that is what happens. Now, they do not read up specifically from the book. They actually hear some tapes of someone that is talking and reading the book, and this is what wakes up this entity into the cabin. And basically the film, what is going to happen, 4 of the 5 friends are going to be possessed one by one until the last one standing, that is Ash, that is portrayed by Bruce Campbell. He is the protagonist. He's the only one that does not get possessed. And the whole film is basically him trying to fight this entity that is taking one by one of his friends until the very end, until the morning when he realizes that he is safe. Or is he? Because the film concludes with the camera running straight to him and cutting, leaving us without nothing. Now, the reason why you could be thinking about why the hell, like it could be an open ending. Yeah, it is an open ending. But what happens is that I know that the entity moves a really fast pace throughout the woods. And the camera is running very, very fast. And this is how we know that we're seeing the point of view of the entity. So that's also how it ends the film. So of course we know that is the same entity and is not completely dead. Now, this film quickly became a box office success since the budget was so low. It made millions, and the success and also the good reviews is what led Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell to do the sequel. It's Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn, that is more of a black comedy, more than just supernatural horror. And then we have the third one that is Army of the Darkness, that follows the same path of the black comedy. Now, it's not until many years later that we have Evil Dead, that is the remake from 2013, that kind of gives a step back into the black comedy and kind of focus more into a serious tone supernatural horror movie. That is what the Evil Dead intended on the very first place, but didn't happen. This is a tribute to the fact that the script is kind of melodramatic and also the back acting, because we need to be real. The acting is not the best out there, but for some reason it kind of works perfectly, and this is what creates such a good film. And of course, now we're having on 2023 Evil Dead Rise. We also have a series that is called Ash versus Evil Dead that is actually leaving Netflix. So if you haven't watched the series, I suggest you to do it, since it's actually quite good. Have that much time since it's leaving Netflix, so I will suggest you to run and watch it before the end of the month. Now, to talk about the things that I like. This film had a very difficult filming production. Why? Because it was filmed in a remote cabin on the woods. Everything was prosthetic makeup, props, and actually tried to emulate a steady cam to create the shaky camera effect, but actually it was with wood. This is something that I saw in some behind the scenes and some documentaries that they are about the film. And it's very impressive because until that moment, that was years ago, I had no idea. The first time that I saw the film, I was a child. And I was very impressed with the film. But I could have never imagined that they had so much trouble with it. For give another example, the contacts lens that they used are completely white in order for them to look possessed. They were really thick since they were very cheap, so they could only have them for like 15 minutes because basically the eye couldn't breathe. And if you use contact lenses, you know that they can be very dangerous if you do not use them properly. So that's why I have contact lenses, and sometimes I'm even scared of using them because like I don't want to lose my eyesight. I am already blind. So I really like the fact that although they had so many struggles, they decide to stick with the prosthetic makeup and all the props and practical effects instead of eventually leaning to CGI. Yeah, it was low budget, but maybe at some point some of them could have thinking, you know what? Let's not make this any more difficult. Let's just do it everything on CGI and let it go as it is. I am very grateful that they not do that. The second thing that I like is the story. Five Friends in the Woods. This is something that we have here so many times already, but here we're kind of seeing it for kind of the first times. So it's pretty original for the time. And it works perfectly. I think that it works. Also, the fact that Ash is the only one that doesn't get possessed and he has to watch and basically fight against all of his friends, and even at some point he is trying to bury one of them. And it's a scene that kind of stuck always with me because the corpse is there and the soil basically is the hole, and it starts talking and he wakes up and because he has a necklace and he wants to grab it, and then he wakes up and I remember that he ended up without a head. That scene kind of stuck with me. Like I could remember vividly that scene in my head, although I could not remember the name because that's a fun fact. I remember watching the film, but I did not knew the name, or I remember until many years later that I came across the film and I was like, wait a minute, I have seen this. And I asked my mom and I was like, Mom, have we seen this? I was, yeah, you have seen it before. And I'm like, oh, okay. That's something that happened to me a lot. My mom would put me on watching horror movies. Then I wouldn't know the name, and many years later, I will find out that I actually watched it. So I did enjoy this film a lot the first time that I saw it, and the second, the third one is a very enjoyable film. This is something that I truly like about it is that it's very rewatchable, at least for me. It's a film that I can watch at any time, at any moment. I remember one night I left my TV on. I don't remember what I was watching. What I do know is that I woke up in the middle of the night because I hear some screamings. But here's the thing. And I was half asleep, half awake. I was like, is that the Evil Dead? And I kind of opened my eye and yeah, it's Evil Dead. So I just turn around and keep sleeping. I can't I can't recognize those screams because they are iconic. And I love them. Although, like I said, the acting, it may not be the best one, and the script for the time and maybe for the standards, but somehow it works. And that's what I also love about it, that yeah, it is silly, it is a little bit cheesy, melodramatic, so bad that it's so good. I just love it. Like for me, this film, it's an example of a film that had everything everything that could have been wrong ended up being right. Everything happens for a reason. And it ended up being such an icon. Like this film is, in my opinion, one of the best horror movies ever made. This is the type of film that every horror fan should watch at least once in their lifetime. And being honest, I will not judge anyone who told me that they prefer the remake because, in my opinion, the remake is as good as the original. Yes, this is one of those few times where I can say that the remake and the original, they are equally good because they are very different but at the same time they bring the essence of the story in different ways, of course, because like I said, the remake is way more serious, and also they use a lot more blood, and the practical effects, they're also very good, but it's way more gorier. Here is more funny, like although they didn't try to, but it ended up being very funny. But still, the makeup, I think that is very impressive for the time that it was made. So that's my perspective and my way to seeing it. For the time that it was made, it was brilliant. So also I really like the score. I think that works perfectly. They use a lot of fog also, and there's a scene where some branches, the first girl that gets possessed, she kind of gets raped by some branches. This scene is very disturbing, but it's so well made. Like the way that, yeah, there's some branches that are on her, and it's like, what the hell is happening? And also everything works together. Like they are in the middle of nowhere, they have some fog, they are moving the branches, she's having a very hard time at the moment, but it's amazing. Like honestly, it's one of the best scenes, and it's one of the most iconic scenes, being honest. Actually, the remake poster, the scene that features is that scene that of course was featured on the remake, although it was made a little bit differently, but it still has the essence. I mean, they had to put it there. I mean, at the end of the day, it's as iconic as the Nightmare on Elm Street scene of Freddy in the arm with Nancy on the bathtub. That level of iconic. Something that I dislike about this film, being honest, nothing. I love this film. I enjoy it. I love the franchise. In my opinion, Evil Dead is one of the most solid horror franchise, and I cannot wait for Evil Dead Rise. I am so excited, and I'm dying to see that film. Like for me, this is a perfect 80s horror film that everyone should watch. So for me, this one is a 5 out of 5, a 10 out of 10. This should not come as a surprise. But well, this has been all for the video. Thank you so much for watching. Down below, do you prefer the original or the remake, and why? Like I said, I will not judge you. This is the only few times I will not do that, because I don't try to judge anyone by their taste in horror. But sometimes, like for example, Halloween of 1978 versus Rob Zombie's version. No, I'm sorry, there's no way. There's no way that I will ever say that Rob Zombie's version is better than John Carpenter. Like, that's a sin for me. But like I said, I never judge. But well, thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to see you guys on my next video. Bye.
Close to real. That much I know.